evening. The government is continuing its crackdown on corruption and bureaucracy. Days after it compulsorily retired 12 officers of the Income Tax Department, it took the same action against 15 officers of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, taking the number of officials with serious corruption and other charges who have been acted against by Modi government 2.0 to 27 in a matter of days. With the second surgical strike on corruption and bureaucracy by the government in around 1 week, our in focus tonight is government presses ahead with anti-corruption drive. That, the latest situation in Bihar with regard to acute encephalopathy. Senior officers of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs facing serious corruption charges. Om Birla, BJP MP from Kota Bundi parliamentary seat set to become Lok Sabha Speaker, emerges as consensus candidate, gets support of parties within and outside NDA. Congress too supports his candidature. Oath taking of newly elected members of parliament continues on the second day of the 17th Lok Sabha. Mulayam Singh Yadav and Sonia Gandhi take oath among other MPs in Treasury and opposition benches. In fresh setback to the Trinamool Congress, one of its legislators and 12 councillors join BJP. One Congress leader joins the BJP too. JP Nadda takes charge as working president of BJP, felicitated by party president Amit Shah, several party leaders and workers at BJP headquarters upon assuming charge. Acute encephalitis syndrome crisis continues in Bihar. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar visits Sri Krishna Medical College Hospital in Muzaffarpur to take stock of the situation, issues directions for better medical care. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan chairs multidisciplinary group of experts in Delhi to discuss causes of high mortality due to AES in Muzaffarpur. Major success for security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. One Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist and his associate killed in an encounter in Anantnag. The JEM terrorist had procured the vehicle used in Pulwama IED terror attack. Last rites of Braveheart, Major Ketan Sharma martyred in Anantnag encounter carried out in Meerut. Japan issues a tsunami warning for Yamagata and Niigata. After 6.5 magnitude earthquake hits off the northwest coast of Japan, Japan warns a wave of 1 meter is likely to hit the coast of the Sea of Japan north of Tokyo. And England sets Afghanistan a target of 398 runs in ICC World Cup. Afghanistan makes a wobbly start. Our top focus tonight, days after compulsorily retiring 12 errant income tax officers, the government took its drive against corruption further today by effecting another round of action against 15 senior officers facing serious corruption charges. It compulsorily retired 15 senior officers of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, including one of the rank of Principal Commissioner, on charges of corruption. Invoking Rule 56J of the Fundamental Rules, the government acted against the officials, some of whom were already under suspension.
The Modi government continues to demonstrate its zero tolerance for corruption policy by cracking down on corrupt officials for the second time in a matter of days. Days after returning to power, the Modi government had compulsorily retired 12 senior officers. On Tuesday, taking the crackdown on corruption further, the government compulsorily retired 15 senior officials of the CBIC. The action was taken against officers of the ranks of Principal Commissioner, Commissioner, Additional Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, Joint Commissioner and Assistant Commissioner of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. The government acted under Fundamental Rule 56J or Rule 48 of the Central Civil Services Pension Rules 1972. The officers who have been compulsorily retired include Dr. Anup Srivastav, Atul Dikshit, Sansar Chand, G. Sri Harsha, Vinay Brit Singh, Ashok R. Mahida, Virendra Kumar Agrawal, Amresh Jain, Nalan Kumar, S.S. Babana, S.S. Bisht, Vinod Kumar Sangha, Raju Sekhar, Ashok Kumar Aswal and Muhammad Altaf. all the 15 officers are under the scanner mainly over corruption charges. They face charges of bribery, extortion, money laundering, amassing disproportionate assets, illegally favoring companies, among others. Most of the officers who have faced action have CBI cases against them. Reacting to the development, the Bharati Janata Party asserted that the action demonstrates government's policy of zero tolerance towards corruption.
ये चेतावनी है कि सब लोग अपना कमर कस लें और काम करके दें, और अगर निकम्मापन दिखाई देगा या भ्रष्टाचार जैसी कुछ चीज़ दिखाई देगी तो सरकार उसको बहुत आसानी से नहीं लेने वाली है। और सरकार का काम ही ये होना चाहिए कि जो लोग नॉन परफॉर्मिंग थे, तो नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट थोड़ा ही है, लाइबिलिटी है, उस लाइबिलिटी को तो जल्दी खत्म करना चाहिए।
On the 10th of June, the government handed down compulsory retirement to 12 senior officials on the grounds of serious complaints of corruption, extortion and sexual harassment. The 12 senior officers were of the ranks of commissioners and joint commissioners of the Income Tax Department. This is the government's second surgical strike on corruption in bureaucracy in around a week's time. Decisions are being taken on the basis of non-performance and corruption charges. Sources say more officials could face the action in the days to come. With Sudhakar Das and Arun Sharma in Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And that brings us to our In Focus tonight, which is government presses ahead with anti-corruption drive. To discuss that, we have with us in the studio Professor Sushma Yadav. She is Professor Public Policy and Governance with the Indian Institute of Public Administration, or IIPA, and Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee. He's a senior economic journalist. I welcome you both to Newsnight. I'll begin with you, Professor Sushma Yadav. What do you make of this action that has been taken, the second in a matter of days, against corruption in top bureaucracy? In the first action that we saw in Modi government 2.0 on the 10th of June, 12 senior officers of the Income Tax Department were acted against, and now 15 officers of the CBIC, the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Corruption, have been acted against.
You know, usually we say it's too little, too late, but I will say it's not too little and it's quite early. Too soon, I would say, in a week, but it was long awaited. And if I look at it from the side of public administration and the demands of good governance, which this government has been professing till now, and our Prime Minister had always been saying that he stands for probity, he stands for honesty, he stands for good governance. So I think it's a message towards that. And if I look at it from the Indian political system's perspective, then it's a very, very long standing demand that people in the reform section, those who want the system to be reformed, had been asking for, be it the Santhanam committee, which started in 60s and maybe even early 50s, all the committees which were formed for that, and both the administrative reforms commissions. They also wanted laws to be implemented in the right way so that the guilty can be punished. What's happened till now? I think there is a mindset amongst us, I include myself and all the intelligentsia as well, that nothing is going to happen. The corrupt continue to enjoy patronage and good life, and honest really take a backseat because, you know, there's not much to do, and if they do something, then also there is a fear of getting caught if it is something innovative. I think the government is giving a message by this, that those who indulge in corrupt practices, for which Lokayukt was a demand also, will not be you know, allowed to go on. And it is also, I think, very small punishment. It's a message, I would say, because they are not still, they have not started giving them dismissal just like that. It's a very respectful exit. One can take it to be something like dismissal, but I would say it is an exit, and everyone doesn't get that exit. I hope that kind of way is given to all those who are inefficient, who are guilty of corruption, you know, corruption also of different forms. And here if you look at the kind of cases which are against these officers, if you go into details, that they amount from a small amount of lakhs to crores.
Absolutely.
And it's also bribery up to extortion and up to, you know, much more than that.
Even disproportionate assets case.
Disproportionate assets. And I think even naked eyes can see in some cases the kind of living which these officers have, even though they hide, but still it's very, very obvious. And I think this will go as a message from the government that now our target is towards what the party also promised a corruption-free government and what the government has been saying in its manifesto also and in its public appearance.
Okay.
And what Prime Minister Modi now said, you can only win confidence if you can win the war against corruption. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the message with this first step.
Shubhamoy, a clear message going out would you say that it won't be business as usual and that they won't let officials or those within the system be the reason why the system rots?
Yeah, and one of the things, Munmun, that's pretty important in this entire thing, and I was listening to Sushma very carefully, is that the section 56J of the fundamental rules on which has been invoked, the invocation is done by the same group of, same set of officers, the same structure which actually takes decisions. So now the big issue that comes along is that when you're doing this sort of a stuff, the probity and whether there is a consistency in the sort of punishment that is being given out. I agree, 56G doesn't necessarily mean punishment, it's a dismissal. In fact, whenever the services of a public servant are no longer useful to general administration, the officer can be compulsory retired for the sake of public interest. That is the operative para. But so that doesn't necessarily equate with corruption. But in the public eye, that will be what people will be seeing. But when that is being seen, then there should be consistency between what the departments execute with respect to all officers. Now here there is some officers from a particular cadre, the revenue service. It will also have to be looked at whether the same sort of equation is being done for instance, other services who are also equally in the same significant positions, and whether the rules of the requirements of justice are being meted out properly. That will be very, very significant.
Yes, but if you look at these particular 15 individuals who have been acted upon today, most of them have CBI cases against them. In some cases, the CBI has filed charge sheets. There are disproportionate assets case against some of them, like Professor Sushma Yadav mentioned. Besides that, there are charges of extortion, of harassment, of not vacating government property, of illegally favoring a company, to name a few. So these are serious corruption charges, many of which are being investigated by the CBI, some also by the DRI, because we are hearing from some of these officials who have been acted against. They are crying political vendetta, but would you say that none of these counterclaims now hold any charges, because the CBI has been proceeding against them since quite some time?
Yeah, that's right. Of course, what will happen is that many of the cases, in fact, the last one that happened, some of the officers I understand have already approached the courts, and here too they will be approaching the court, some of them which is par for the course. If the government has worked out its details, that's what I'm saying, that in this sort of a thing, it's a new terrain for India, and what the public also ask for, that only the small people in the smaller rungs should not be acted against. The big officers, those who actually decide on issues, they should be seen to be also be prosecuted against. You remember in the last in the Modi 1.0, the Prevention of Corruption Act was changed, and it was done for a good reason, that those officers who pass bona fide orders, they should not be harassed for having passed those orders.
No, that distinction still remains.
And that distinction, that has been done, and that amendment was very necessary, because it gave a sense of comfort to the officers that if they are doing your job diligently, you will not be prosecuted. This is the other side of it, that if you are not doing your job diligently, then you will be prosecuted against. And as the number of cases, in fact I was looking at it, of the CVC orders which have come out from 2015, 2016 and 2017 shows that the number of cases which was 259 in 2015 has gone up to 291 in 2017, and similarly the CBI cases. So what it does show is that the government is making a very concerted effort, and that is necessary, because that is what the people have voted the government to power for, that you will act on corruption. And in a country like India, where the per capita income is low, where the government has a lot of discretionary say in the people's lives, you and I, we don't get particularly affected, but the person, typically what we call the man on the road, man on the street, they do get affected by these discretionary powers, and they therefore need to feel that they will be dealt with as per rules and not by somebody's discretion.
Okay.
But that is where the problem comes.
Professor Sushma Yadav, is it heartening that the big fish have been acted against? In the first round of action that we saw in Modi government 2.2 on the 10th of June, officers of the rank of Joint Commissioner were prosecuted. This time we are seeing officers of the ranks of Principal Commissioner, Joint Commissioner, Commissioner, assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner, so a whole lot of officers in the top bureaucracy have been acted against. So the big fish cannot get away any longer.
Yeah, I think that's a very good message. And I always believe corruption cannot be curbed if you start from below, because it never starts from below. And that's a very small corruption if at all it starts. So it has to be tackled at a higher level. And the government has started it. You named it rightly as surgical strike. I think it's more than surgical strike at the moment, because mind it, they've taken one service, and that service which is very, very important. Very, very important for the economy, and very, very important for the messaging which has to go. I have come across officers who have lots of ideas, lots of innovations, lots of potential, and lots of will to do certain good things. But they don't venture because they usually thought that the system won't be on their side, and that the system would side with people like, you know, those who've been caught today. I'm not passing any judgment, but if CBI has a case, I think the whole society looks at it as something serious. And I have also come across cases where the departments patronize and protect such officers who have CBI cases against them, because the CBI asks for permission to prosecute, which is usually not given for years and years, and CBI keeps asking. So I think here by this action the government is sending a message to all those around the various departments who've been holding on to such permissions for prosecution, and I think they should be given, although we shouldn't be unjust. And I don't think this kind of leeway is being given to others at a lower level as well. It should be taken to be just as well. But by this very step, the government has given a very strong message that now this inning, the second inning of Modi government, starts with right strike at right place. Because we have, you know, terms like tax terrorism, which means the kind of extortion which at some places you have come across in these cases, but we also have a lot of tax potential which is completely going untapped. And maybe with this, if we also have incentives to offer, the, you know, punish the guilty, punish the corrupt, but incentivize those who really want to work for the betterment of the nation and betterment of the system, then these actions will go a long way in bringing such officers to work and to really do their worth which they can for the best of the state.
Professor Yadav, we'll come on to what more should be done in terms of administrative reforms. You hinted at some of the steps that need to be taken. We'll discuss them in detail. But before that, Shubhamoy, we've seen that action under Fundamental Rule 56J, which was invoked today and which was invoked on the 10th of June, which was also invoked in the first term of the Modi government when around 300 to 400 officers were acted against, has been sparing in the previous regimes. Should action under this rule be routine? Because it's after all the bureaucracy which is governing the system, and if there is black sheep in the bureaucracy, they should be singled out, shamed, prosecuted.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea, you know, because any service, and least of all government service, should not be seen as a zamindari. It has, a person has to deliver, and that is the reason why people sign up to become the government officer. Now, when they are there, then the idea is that they will be working for the sake of why they have been brought in, and if they don't, then obviously 56J, in fact 56J, actually the reasoning for that was that the government doesn't want to get into the case of why it should be a long standing case in the CBI or in the CVC. It's sort of a shortcut to where it says that, okay, fine, I'm not asking questions, but I'm simply asking the person concerned to move on. And that, I think, helps, because it's essentially, otherwise it creates a log jam and it creates a problem. The other routes create a problem that there is a lot of effort of the prosecuting agencies wasted or in trying to prove the case, which often get stuck up in the courts and nothing much results, and the people don't get satisfied. So this one is therefore a shortcut, and to that extent there will be sometimes there will be cases that whether this particular case deserved a 56J or not. But in the longer term interest of the fact that people in India think that public service in India has a lot of shortcoming at a very senior level in terms of the delivery, there's no reason why the government should not use this thing. Yes, it has to use it, and the fact that it's used it early on does send a very salutary message that it will be invoked more regularly, and I suppose that should continue, because otherwise it will become one-off case and then that's it. That shouldn't happen. It should continue now once it's been started on a very a very fast mode.
Professor Sushma Yadav, what should be done further in terms of administrative reforms, because there are already news reports that suggest that around 400 officers could be inducted as lateral entry. We've seen lateral entry in the Union Cabinet expansion in the past, and now reports suggesting that 400 officers could be inducted into the top bureaucracy, which could come in under the header of a category of lateral entry. Besides that, there are also suggestions that performance should be prioritized when it comes to promotions, among other suggestions. There are several suggestions in the public domain. What more should be done to improve the governance system as a whole?
I think is a whole large gamut. But to begin with, I think one message that corrupt practices and corruption of any sort, and which includes a lot of other actions which the ARC2 had specified, and defining corruption as a much larger act, where stopping some work, not performing one's work, not going according to one's oath which one takes at the time of service, all these are part of the corrupt practices. And then corrosive bribery, which ARC2 has used, that may also come. And if you are not performing your duty, again you are indulging in a corrupt practice, because you are eating into the vitals of the nation, and you are also taking salary without work. So that also must come into corrupt practices. And what ARC2 wanted ultimately went to ethics. Ethics is the last word, but ethics has to come up in your day-to-day life, in your the very act of serving the society or public service, which is everything else but service. That sense of authority also must go. So if we really want to improve governance, then this no tolerance or zero tolerance policy towards corruption. Lateral entry can be good for bringing a different kind of expertise into the system, but we also have to be careful that these have to be merged very carefully, because these are two kinds of work experiences, but they must come into government. And I think more trainings which refresh the officers, and more carrot and stick, which is very old of course, but which must come, because what we are seeing in government now, everyone has a very good ACR, but the result or the product is not the same. And therefore I think we have to be honest in evaluation, and we have to be honest in performance. If we combine these two, we can really look towards good governance in theory and practice both.
Shubhamoy, in the first term of the Modi government, the demonetization decision was taken, and post demonetization we saw Operation Clean Money pan out, wherein several illegal shell companies were identified, their directors were debarred, and much more action was taken. There was action taken against tax evaders as well. There were several acts that the government or legislations that the government enacted in Parliament to act against tax evaders, some who have money which is black in nature, or black money, or money on which taxes have not been paid within the country, some beyond the shores of India. And now we are seeing this action pan out, particularly in the second term of the Modi government. Some action was taken in the first term of the Modi government as well. So would you say that an all-round attack on corruption is what we are seeing?
Yeah, essentially that's it. I mean, that is the full idea of in fact, one of the things that you just mentioned some time ago, the Lokpal, that has already been instituted. In fact, the Lokpal has come into being even before this government has come in, and I think that is a very important agency which will be looking into these things. So that taking that as the apex, there is a lot of work that is being done. You would have noticed that for independent directors, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has suggested that there should be an examination to ensure what they should look out for, so that companies do not do positive malafide. Similarly, these sort of things, when we are saying that that government officers at the senior level should not only not be corrupt, that's one thing, but also be seen to be taking diligent work. Lots of officers, the problem is that they may not be corrupt, but they also do not take effort to push the work that they are needed to do, and that is where a big problem comes along, which Sushma was talking about, that ACRs of both would look good, that the person hasn't done anything dishonest, but the person hasn't done anything much. And that is where these sort of orders come in very useful to ensure that those who definitely do not want to push on the pedal are asked to move on, and others can come in to replace them.
We saw the virus of policy paralysis, which is perhaps what both of you are mentioning here, play out once the 2G scam and the coal scam came to the fore during the UPA regime, and after that, that virus seemed to have set in. Now there's action being taken not just against corrupt individuals in the system, but also against those individuals who are non-performing in nature. So are you saying, Professor Sushma Yadav, that policy paralysis is also a form of non-performance which should be acted against?
Of course, because there are so many policies which have been made for all these years, but none of them could deliver. None of them could deliver what they wanted to deliver, in fact. So either there was something wrong in making a policy, but usually in the public policy literature we say that a good policy never fails. But what is a good policy? A good policy is one which can really be executed well, but that never happened, because I think there was a loss of link between those who execute and those who frame, and therefore the policies that were being framed were really not as well executable, and so it led to policy paralysis. So I think there has to be a link between them, and also some kind of incentive for good policy making, good linkages between the executors also, and please infuse fresher blood into policy making, because if you look at the public services, the youngest ones execute them, the senior ones try to make them, but there's a huge gap between them, because when you come to the ministries, your real touch with the masses goes. That has to come up, and also if you really deliver well, you need to be awarded not by terms of money. I don't think that really lives longer, but in terms of appreciating good work, maybe promotions out of turn, because otherwise in government service everything is so much written and tightly compartmentalized that for so many years you'll do this, then you'll go up to this. I think that system I look forward to that system would change, and it should not be limited to public services or public servants only. The other sectors of our works and professions must also have this kind of reward and punishment or carrot and stick policy also. Otherwise I think we are rotting somewhere where everyone thinks one should do best, but one doesn't do one's best, and if one does one's best, one is fearful of the results. You never know what will come out of this well done work. So I think that needs to be recognized, and this must spread all around.
Absolutely. So stress should be on performance-linked incentives. This could well be just the tip of the iceberg, because reports suggest that action could be affected against other senior officials as well who are under the scanner over corruption and non-performance. Thank you so much, Professor Sushma Yadav and Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, for having joined us on Newsnight tonight. Well, stepping up efforts to contain the health crisis in Bihar due to acute encephalitis syndrome, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan chaired a meeting of a multidisciplinary group of experts in Delhi to discuss the factors causing high child mortality in the reported acute encephalitis syndrome or Japanese encephalitis cases in Muzaffarpur. The group also deliberated on immediate measures to be taken up to prevent deaths, in addition to senior officers from the Health Ministry, Ministry of Women and Child Development, experts from AIMS, NCTC, ICMR, IAP, WHO and CDC were present at the meeting. Meanwhile, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar visited SKMCH hospital. The state government has announced several measures too. More in this report.
Acute encephalitis syndrome or brain fever has taken its toll on hapless children in Muzaffarpur, Bihar. Over 100 children have died in the last 17 days. In SKMCH itself, the death toll has crossed 80.
जो अपने अस्पताल में 291 भर्ती हो चुके हैं, 89 डिस्चार्ज हो चुके हैं।
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar visited the Sri Krishna Medical College and Hospital in Muzaffarpur to take stock of the situation. He spent an hour and a half and personally interacted with parents of the infected children. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has reiterated his assurance of complete assistance to the state government to deal with the serious issue.
Whatever is required more, I have advised them, and we have promised every possible support to the state government. They are monitoring the whole thing every hourly.
The state administration is making every effort to deal with the fever. Bihar's Chief Secretary on Tuesday said that the capacity of the SKMCH hospital is being increased to 2,500 beds. A 100-bed ICU will also be set up there.
मरीजों को पहुंचाने में उनको किसी भी तरह का खर्च वहन नहीं करना पड़ेगा। या तो सरकारी एम्बुलेंस है तो सरकारी एम्बुलेंस, और किसी भी गाड़ी से आते हैं उनको हम लोग रिम्बर्स करेंगे पैसा, और फ्लैट रेट पर 400 रुपये हम लोग रिम्बर्स करेंगे। कुछ चिकित्सकों को DMCH से और PMCH से भेज रहे हैं वहाँ पर, और वहाँ जाके उनको सप्लीमेंट करेंगे। जितने आशा कार्यकर्ता हैं, ANM हैं, जितने आंगनबाड़ी के लोग हैं, सबके माध्यम से सभी घरों तक, अगर अभी तक ORS नहीं पहुँचा है तो ORS का घोल पहुँचना चाहिए, और घर अभिभावक को बताना चाहिए कि ORS बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। शाम में अगर नहीं भी जरूरत लगता है तब भी आप ORS घोल बच्चों को पिला दें।
District Magistrate of Muzaffarpur said that a 5-member team is investigating the causes of the illness. The state government has directed that the socio-economic as well as health profiles of the homes from where the children come is documented so that all possible contributing factors of the disease can be determined.
संबंधित परिवारों की आय, साथ ही साथ व्यवसाय, आर्थिक स्थिति, उनके घरों की स्थिति, शौचालय की स्थिति, उनके यहाँ PDS राशन कार्ड एवं PDS राशन के वितरण की स्थिति। क्या ऐसा तो नहीं है कि ये बीमारी पहले से थी और उसका मैनिफेस्टेशन 3-4 दिन बाद हुआ जब स्थिति थोड़ी गंभीर हो गई? इन सब बातों पर एक सोशल ऑडिट कराने का निर्देश दिया है, जिसको कि अगले 2 से 3 दिन के अंदर कंप्लीट करा लिया जाना है।
BJP MP from Bihar, Ajay Nishad, expressed deep sorrow over the deaths of more than 100 children because of encephalitis. He said the state government is constantly monitoring the situation. An ex gratia of 4 lakh rupees has been announced to the next of kin of those children who have died from the illness.
सरकार हमारी काम कर रही है, डॉक्टर भी दिन रात लगे हुए हैं। जो सूचना मिली थी कि जो भी मृतक परिवार हैं उनको 4-4 लाख रुपया देने की बात उन्होंने कहा है।
Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan had reviewed the situation at a high-level meeting attended by senior officials of the Health Ministry, the Indian Council of Medical Research and AIIMS. Dr. Harshvardhan had visited SKMCH Hospital along with Union MOS Health Ashwini Kumar Chaube and Bihar's Health Minister Mangal Pandey on Sunday. With Kumar Alok, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
BJP MP Om Birla is set to become the Speaker of the 17th Lok Sabha. He emerged as a consensus candidate after his candidature was backed by 11 parties, including parties like BJD and YSR Congress, which are outside the NDA fold. Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has said that the Congress also supports the candidature of Om Birla. Om Birla, a 2-term Lok Sabha MP, won from Rajasthan's Kota Bundi seat in the just concluded general election.
Two-time BJP MP Om Birla has been named NDA's nominee for the Lok Sabha Speaker's post. Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed his name. Notices have been given to the Lok Sabha Secretariat by the BJP and other parties, proposing him for the post and bringing a motion for his election. The motion has been backed by all NDA allies, including AIADMK, as well as parties like YSR Congress Party and Biju Janata Dal.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी, सर्विस ट्रांसपोर्ट मिनिस्टर और पार्टियों की तरफ से बीजेडी, शिवसेना, एनपीपी और एमएनएफ, अकाली दल, एनजेएसपी, एसआरसीपी, जेडीयू, एआईएडीएमके, अपना दल
Speaker is always a choice of the leading party, and the BJP has chosen Om Birla ji, and we respect that decision. We want it to be a political decision. जो भी स्पीकर जी के कुर्सी पे बैठते हैं उनको सबके ऊपर एक ध्यान देना चाहिए, सबको इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी देना चाहिए, और यही उम्मीद रहेगी हमारी भी तेलुगु देशम पार्टी से.
Once nominated, Birla, who won from Kota Bundi parliamentary seat in Rajasthan, will easily become the speaker, as the National Democratic Alliance has a clear majority in the lower house. Moreover, the opposition has not fielded any candidate. The election for the post is scheduled for Wednesday. Birla, 57, has been MLA from Rajasthan thrice and MP twice. If elected, he will succeed 8-term MP Sumitra Mahajan as Lok Sabha Speaker. He called on her to seek her blessings.
बहुत अच्छा लगा कि स्पीकर के रूप में उनका चुनाव हुआ है, नॉमिनेशन हुआ है अभी, और हमने साथ साथ काम किया है. इंडियन पार्लियामेंट्री ग्रुप जो है उसके वो कोषाध्यक्ष रहे, और अनेक कमेटियों में वो मेरे साथ उन्होंने काम किया हुआ है. तो एक प्रकार से कहीं ना कहीं लगता है मेरे साथ काम किए हुए ही व्यक्ति है. मुझे विश्वास है कि बहुत अच्छे तरीके से वो सदन संभालेंगे.
Over the course of his political career, he has also served on several parliamentary committees, including the Standing Committee on Energy and the Consultative Committee for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. His family was elated at the announcement.
ओम जी में बहुत काबिलियत है. He is very intelligent, very patience man. तो वो उसको इस पद को बहुत अच्छी तरह संभालेंगे. सेलिब्रेशन तो उसी मोमेंट से हो गया, मन में खुशी और आनंद है इसे.
अपोजिशन बिल्कुल इस बार थोड़ा कम है नंबर में, लेकिन फिर भी अपोजिशन को अपनी आवाज़ रखनी बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि हम डेमोक्रेसी है. और इस बात का बिल्कुल पापा को भी ध्यान है, क्योंकि वो कोटा में भी सबकी ही राय सुनते थे.
स्पीकर का पोजीशन है वो बताई गया है कि वो बहुत ही इम्पार्शियल पोजीशन है, जिसमें सबको सुनना होगा, धैर्य से सुनना होगा.
Given that there is no other candidate for the post, Om Birla has emerged as a consensus candidate. With Parliament team, Newsnight desk, DD India.
It was day 2 of oath taking by newly elected MPs in Lok Sabha. Among those administered oath by Pro Tem Speaker Virendra Kumar included BJP MP Om Birla, Congress leader Sonia Gandhi, SP Patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav, Shiromani Akali Dal leader Sukhbir Singh Badal, BJP MP Sunny Deol and Aam Aadmi Party's lone MP Bhagwant Mann among others. Here's more on the oath taking in the lower house of Parliament today.
Oath-taking ceremony of the newly elected members of Parliament continued on the second day of the 17th Lok Sabha. Members from various parties took oath on Tuesday, administered by the Pro Tem Speaker Virendra Kumar. One of the prominent faces who took oath on the second day was Om Birla, a BJP MP from Rajasthan. Birla has been nominated by the NDA as the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Members of the ruling alliance were seen congratulating him as he took oath. Apart from Om Birla, several other MPs from Rajasthan, including PP Chaudhary, Rajavardhan Rathore, Diya Kumari, also took oath on Tuesday. BJP MP Sumedhanand Saraswati and several other members took oath in Sanskrit.
Satyam Shraddham Nistham Cha Daryishye Yad Aham Bharatasya Sampurnam.
Senior Samajwadi Party leader and Lok Sabha member from Mainpuri constituency Mulayam Singh Yadav arrived on a wheelchair for the oath taking. Owing to his ailing health, the veteran parliamentarian took oath earlier than scheduled. The senior Samajwadi Party leader has not been keeping well for quite some time now. Considering his poor health, the Pro Tem Speaker Virendra Kumar advised that Mulayam Singh Yadav should be given priority. Later, the official register was brought to him to his seat for him to sign. Among the elected members from Punjab, Shiromani Akali Dal Chief Sukhbir Singh Badal, Congress leaders Manish Tiwari and Praneeth Kaur took oath today. A majority of the parliamentarians from Punjab took oath in Punjabi. Gurdaspur MP Sunny Deol also took oath today. He was greeted with loud cheers and slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai by the ruling alliance. Three-time Congress MP from Kerala's Thiruvananthapuram, Shashi Tharoor also took oath on Tuesday. All elected members from Tamil Nadu, including DMK's A. Raja, T.R. Balu, Kani Modi, took oath on Tuesday. AIADMK leader Ravindranath Kumar took oath in Tamil. Among the elected members from Uttar Pradesh who took oath today were senior Congress leader Sonia Gandhi and BJP MP from Mathura Hema Malini. Post taking oath, Hema Malini greeted the House in Braj style with Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Later, it was the turn of the Lok Sabha members from West Bengal to take oath. The various members from TMC and BJP took oath in Bengali. During the oath taking, several members of the lower house chanted Jai Shri Ram. At the beginning of the second day of the 17th Lok Sabha, the members who couldn't take oath on the first day took oath first. Lok Sabha Speaker will be elected on Wednesday and the President's address will be held on Thursday. With Parliament Team, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Working President of BJP, JP Nadda, took charge at BJP headquarters in the national capital. An enthusiastic welcome awaited him when he reached. BJP President Amit Shah and other senior leaders greeted him with flowers. Both Amit Shah and JP Nadda paid tributes to Deen Dayal Upadhyay and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, INB Minister Prakash Javadekar, Union Minister Smriti Irani, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Deputy Chief Minister of the state Keshav Prasad Maurya, former Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan were among the leaders who congratulated him. JP Nadda being felicitated by a host of leaders including BJP President Amit Shah, former Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. JP Nadda has been appointed as the working president of BJP. Celebrations marked the day at the BJP headquarters as JP Nadda was felicitated upon assuming charge by a host of BJP leaders and workers, including BJP President Amit Shah. In another setback for Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee, one legislator of the party and 12 councillors from a party joined the BJP today. One Congress leader also jumped ship to BJP.
जिस प्रकार बंगाल के अंदर अराजकता और वहाँ के मुख्यमंत्री के अहंकार के कारण लोग वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा अपने आप को असहज महसूस कर रहे थे और लोगों को लगता है कि मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में देश का विकास हो रहा है, बंगाल पिछड़ रहा है, बंगाल का विकास भी होना चाहिए। इसीलिए माननीय विधायक पूरी की पूरी बंग की नगर पालिका पूरी की पूरी हमारे साथ आज यहाँ पर आई है। ये टीएमसी की थी, आज बीजेपी में शामिल हो रही है।
News now from regions in regional roundup.
People gathered at the residence of martyred Major Ketan Sharma to receive his mortal remains. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Army Chief General Bipin Rawat laid the wreath and paid their homage to Major Sharma. One army jawan was martyred in an encounter between terrorists and joint forces in South Kashmir's Anantnag district today morning. The two terrorists killed both belong to Jaish-e-Mohammed. A special court in Prayagraj sentenced 4 accused to life imprisonment and acquitted one in 2005 Ayodhya case. The verdict has been delivered after 14 years of the attack. 2 civilians along with 5 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists who perpetrated the attack on 5th July that year were among those killed. Maharashtra government in the assembly session allocated 500 crore rupees in its budget for modern weapons, instrument and technologies to combat the Naxal activities. It also proposed 12,000 crore rupees for irrigation sector, 200 crore rupees for the OBC corporations, 600 crore rupees for research by 4 agricultural universities. Uttar Pradesh Cabinet approved 6 proposals, including the proposal to convene the State Assembly's monsoon session from 18th July. It also approved proposals regarding the Gorakhpur Zoological Park, the Umbrella Act, which will enable all the universities in the state to come under a single act. Moreover, the Cabinet gave approval to building a college named after Mahant Abhayanath. Guest houses in Triplicane area of Tamil Nadu have temporarily been suspended due to water scarcity in the city. Triplicane is known to be a prominent tourist spot of the state. In Sikkim, around 300 tourists are struck at Zima due to heavy rainfall. They have been taken to Lachen.
In international news, Japan has issued an advisory of a tsunami on Tuesday after a strong 6.5 magnitude earthquake hit the northwest parts of the country. The nation's meteorological agency said a wave of 3 feet is expected to hit the coast of the Sea of Japan, north of Tokyo. Officials immediately stopped bullet train services in the region as a precautionary measure, according to public broadcaster NHK, which also said that around 200 households were without power. The meteorological agency said some waves were expected to have already reached some coastlines of Yamagata and Niigata in the northwest of the country. NHK said no abnormality was monitored at nuclear power plants near the epicenter. President Donald Trump released his first re-election campaign video hours before he is expected to formally launch what may be an uphill battle to persuade voters to give him 4 more years in office. The video shows thousands of supporters cheering him on at a rally in the Midwestern state of Wisconsin, which Trump carried in the 2016 election by 1 percentage point. Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes proved to be the tipping point in the election, giving Trump the 270 electoral votes to win the presidential election. Later in the day, Trump, who has long made it known he is running for re-election, is expected to make his case with gusto for a second term at an evening rally in Orlando, Florida.
With every last ounce of heart and hope and sweat and soul, we are going to make our stand.
Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam apologized on Tuesday for the political unrest that has shaken Hong Kong, but the pro-Beijing chief executive refused to cave into demands for her resignation. The semi-autonomous territory has been plunged into its biggest crisis in decades, with millions of people taking to the streets to demand the withdrawal of proposed legislation that would have allowed extraditions to mainland China.
Pro-democracy groups in Hong Kong rejected Chief Executive Carrie Lam's public apology on Tuesday and demanded she step down. Lam on Tuesday signaled the end of a controversial extradition bill that she had promoted. Hong Kong's chief executive apologized to the public after a surprisingly large and defiant crowd poured onto the streets and converged on government offices.
Carrie Lam, although she demanded Hong Kong people second chance to trust her again and let her to spare no effort to rule Hong Kong again. But what I want to say is that there are some mistakes too big that you do not deserve to have a second chance.
Protesters have filled the streets of Hong Kong and surrounded the Legislative Council. Organizers said nearly 2 million people joined the rally. Demonstrations by an overwhelming young crowd were organized largely through social media, word of mouth and secure messaging apps like Telegram. Two groups, the Civil Human Rights Front and Pan-Democracy Camp. In the center of the protest is the controversial extradition bill. The proposed amendment is touted as an extension of China's reach into the city and allowing individuals to be arbitrarily sent back to China where there couldn't be guarantee of fair trial. Critics say the bill would undermine Hong Kong's independent judiciary and rule of law, guaranteed by one country, two system formula under which Hong Kong returned to China. The extradition bill was proposed on April 3rd. The opposer to the bill argued that the newly framed extradition plan would dissolve the rights and legal protection which were guaranteed under the city's handover from British colonial rule to Chinese sovereignty in 1997. The voice of concern has echoed from many quarters, including business groups, lawyers, judges and foreign governments against the bill. Lam, who took over as Hong Kong's leader in 2017 with the support of Beijing, had vowed to ensure the bill's approval and tried to get it passed on an unusually short timeline, sparking a wide protest as hundreds of thousands demonstrated against it. From using the secure digital messaging apps such as Telegram to buying single-ride subway tickets instead of prepaid store-valued cards, the protest offered a glimpse of what it looks like to stage mass civil disobedience in the age of the surveillance state. The extent of the opposition to the bill is such that even business groups in Hong Kong, who generally take a neutral stance on political issues, have also spoken out against it. Abhishek Jha's report, DD News.
And my colleague Tapas Paracharya now joins us with all the sports action.
Well, thanks, Murmur. Let's start with news from Cricket World Cup 2019. While chasing a mammoth 398 runs for victory, Afghanistan has scored 194 for the loss of 3 wickets when report last came in. Afghanistan was set back right at the start when Archer got the wicket of Noor Ali Zardan in the second over of the innings. Captain Gulbuddin Naib played some shots to keep the run rate going but fell to Mark Wood. Hashmatullah Shahidi and Rahmat Shah then added 52-run partnership before Rashid in his very first over stuck to remove Rahmat. Earlier, England posted their highest total of the World Cup 2019 so far, and leading the way of a royal pasting was captain Ian Morgan, who dispelled all questions surrounding his fitness with a thrilling century, his quickest in the ODI and the 4th fastest in the World Cups. He scored a career best 148, with England registering a monster 397 for 6, their highest ever in World Cup. Johnny Brastov got England off to a solid start after Ian Morgan won the toss, with the home side accelerating after James Vince fell for 26 when he mishooked paceman Daulat Zadran to short final leg. Rank outsiders Afghanistan, yet to win a game at this tournament, did not help themselves with some woeful outfielding. Bristol was untroubled until, and in sight of his 8th ODI century, he chipped a return catch to Naib. A visibly annoyed Bristol walked off, having been in command during a 99-ball, 90-run innings that featured 8 fours and 3 sixes. At 164 for 2 in the 30th over, England still needed meaningful contribution from the middle order, and that came from Morgan, who left Afghanistan's bowlers bruised and battered. Morgan settled in quickly, hitting Naib for 2 sixes, including a fine hit over long on. But the left-hander should have been out when he skied Rashid Khan only for Daulat Zadran at deep mid-wicket to make such a mess of a catch that ball bounced out of his hands and over the roof for 4. It was a costly error, with Morgan immediately hitting a soaring 6. He cleared the boundary again in a 36 over that cost 18 runs. Morgan then went to 50 with his 5th 6 in 36 ball, faced when he pulled off spinner Mohammad Nabi high into an 8,000 capacity temporary stand. If Morgan was an innings of brute force, clean hitting and unbridled aggression, Joe Root put in another display of classical, well-timed and perfectly paced batsmanship to steer himself to 88 and missing out on a 3rd 100 this World Cup. He and Morgan shared England's highest ever World Cup partnership of 189 runs, beating Dennis Amis and Keith Fletcher's 44-year record of 176. England amassed the highest score this World Cup, racing from 199 for 2 at the end of 35 overs to 397 at the end of the innings, thanks to Morgan's 6-hitting spree. Anil Thomas report, TT News, Manchester. Well, big match coming tomorrow, South Africa versus New Zealand, and South Africa, who registered their first win of the ICC Cricket World Cup by defeating Afghanistan by 9 wickets, will face a much stiffer challenge when they take on New Zealand at Edgbaston tomorrow. Where high stakes might not be as high for New Zealand when they take on field, for South Africa, the result would determine their contention for the race to the semi-finals.
Swung away for 6 more. And 50 for Brendan McCullum.
It's 4 years and almost 3 months since New Zealand and South Africa produced that World Cup semi-final cliffhanger, now imprinted on both nations' cricketing consciousness. Now they reconvene on neutral turf at Edgbaston on Wednesday, with the Black Caps having the power to potentially snuff out the Proteas campaign for a 3rd straight Cricket World Cup and move within 1 victory of yet another semi-final berth. The Kiwis are undefeated in this edition of the ICC World Cup so far. South Africa, destabilized after 3 consecutive defeats, put on a complete performance to register a 9-wicket win over Afghanistan in their last game, while Imran Tahir produced another match-winning spell as he picked up 4 wickets. The century stand put on by the openers was probably the greatest positive for the Proteas. The top order will have to shoulder responsibility yet again, as they will be up against an informed New Zealand bowling unit. Lungi Negidi, who has been declared match fit after he missed the last 3 games due to a hamstring injury, is likely to replace Björn Hendricks in the playing 11. If we take into account the overall ODI record, then South Africa are ahead of New Zealand. Both have played each other on 70 occasions in one-day internationals. Of these, South Africa have won 41 matches, whereas New Zealand have come out victorious on 24 occasions. 5 matches have ended in no result. It will be a cloudy start to the day and chances of some light rain showers. However, it should become increasingly dry and bright as the day wears on. Teams batting first have won 3 of the last 4 completed games at Edgbaston.
The performance of New Zealand and South Africa have been like two sides of a coin. New Zealand sitting pretty in the top 4, while South Africa are desperate or in a make-or-break situation to keep their World Cup campaign alive. A look at the head-to-head records, South Africa clearly not having the edge, having just 2 wins and 5 losses against their name. But this could be Faf du Plessis' biggest test, as he needs to win this big outing to stay alive in the tournament. With camera person S. Jayashankar, Anil Thomas, DD News, Edgbaston.
Well, that's all from the sports section. Back to you, Munmu, for more updates.
Well, thank you, Tapas, for that roundup. Preparations for International Day of Yoga on the 21st of June are on in full swing. ITBP Jawans in Srinagar, in Narayanpur in Chhattisgarh and in Samba in J&K are busy practicing the common yoga protocol in the run-up to the final event. So the yoga fervor seems to be gripping one and all, and on that note we come to the close of this edition of Newsnight. News and updates will continue on DD India. Thanks for watching.